Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the latest edition of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elishar podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elishar, Chief Content Producer and Writer of JakesTake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're listening to us on any of our audio platforms, please give us a 5-star rating and please download this episode and more episodes. I just finished coming from Comicon Kansas City. This was its 25th anniversary. So just to give you a few background about it, it started back in 1999 at the Overland Park International Trade Center. And its very first guest was the late Kenny Baker, otherwise known as R2-D2 to Star Wars fans. Now, I have been coming to these events off and on since I was a kid, and starting at elementary school age at Indian Valley. And I had so many incredible memories, such as meeting Adam West and Yvonne Craig, the first Batman and Batgirl of television. I also had the opportunity to meet James Marsters, who at the height of his Buffy fame wrote my autograph book, Hi Jacob, Bite Me, James Marsters. And I also got to meet not one, but two men that influenced Batman for the past decades. Their names are the late Denny O'Neil and Julie Schwartz, who basically helped create Batman to what he is now, and they've been in comics from the 1960s to early 2000s. And fast forward a couple years later, they made transition from Overland Park International Trade Center all the way to Bartle Hall in Kansas City. And they've had so many incredible guests as the years gone on. I remember having photos with Tom Felton or Ming-Na Wen and Giancarlo Esposito, and not to mention Raphael Savage, and also getting the chance to meet some of my heroes, such as the late and incredible Stan Lee, and also the late Jason David Frank. So this convention means the world to me. So I'm going to give you guys a rundown of what I did on Friday and Saturday. So what made my convention so helpful was the Fast Pass. Now the Fast Pass could be a little bit pricey, but it's so well worth it. For one, you get to enter the convention 30 minutes early. So that's what I did basically at 12:30 and 9:30. 12:30 on Friday and 9:30 on Saturday. It was so well worth it too, because you get a special line segment for you for the autograph line. So just in case you had like so many people for general admission, you don't have to face that line. It's basically 3 fast passers or 3, 2, 1 great general admission. It's highly recommended. And also you get reserved seating in a grand ballroom where most of the headline making panels are. Also along the way, before I got to the celebrity row, I got to say hello to a huge friend of mine, Rick Stacy. Now, Rick and I have known each other since I was a kid. I have so many incredible memories of him drawing different characters. He drew the Joker, he drew Batman, Golden Age Batman, and one of my favorite drawings of his was actually a one that he wrote of Batman saying, with Batman with a Superman. With a Superman inserted in the background saying, Jacob, what do you like about, where would you like Superman? That still means so memory. So it's always great to see him. And he's definitely an older brother figure and an important fixture in the artist alley. So I always make sure to check out and wait with him, and also to catch up and have our annual photo, which will be part of our my social media portion a bit later. So after I said hello to Rick and said hello, ran into some friends like Mix 93.3's Davo. I went into Celebrity Row. Now the first celebrity I met was Will Friedle. For those of you in the know, he played Eric Matthews on both Boy Meets World and its spin-off Girl Meets World. And not to mention, he voiced Terry McGinnis, aka Batman Beyond. He's the third Batman actor I have met. Now, the previous ones being Adam West, of course, and then, of course, Kevin Conroy when I met him in New York Comic Con years ago. To meet 3 incredible Batman actors, I am just so blessed and grateful. I also got a chance to take photos with Danielle Fischel and Ryder Strong. It was incredible to meet them, and I gotta say, Will, Danielle, and Ryder have a wonderful rewatch podcast called Pod Meets World, and it is amazing. I love their chemistry, and I also thank Danielle and Ryder for that, but I also give a shout out to Ryder because I told him how much Corey and Sean's friendship inspired me to have some deep, incredible friendship with guys, and I got to give some of them right now. Trevor, Brandon, Jeff, Nick. I got Adam, Tank, TJ. I'm very grateful for your friendships, and I've known these guys from a range from 5 to over 20 years of experience. I'm very so grateful for the closest guy friendships. And after that, I headed back to Artist Alley because it was a very special table that I went to. Because that table contains some of the creators of Batman the Animated Series. I had the honor and privilege of meeting Dan Riba and also the executive producer Alan Burnett. And because Batman the Animated Series meant so much to me. I remember going home and actually playing with Batman action figures, and my grandpa and my grandma actually gave me, from one of my birthdays, 8 action figures of Batman Arkham Asylum, of Batman's greatest villains: Joker, Poison Ivy, Scarecrow, Killer Croc, Clayface, Catwoman, Ra's al Ghul, and an exclusive, the Phantasm, Andrea Beaumont. It was so grateful, and in fact, I got to actually meet one of the voice actors, the incredible Diane Pershing, the first woman who voiced Poison Ivy in a Batman-related media. It was great to meet her and tell her that I almost got him. Eternal Youth, Trial and House of Garden were some of my favorite episodes, and I told her that I wish they utilized Poison Ivy in the Justice League a bit more than that Flash cameo. And she agreed. Anyway, one of the things that I got, it was the Ian McDiarmid VIP badge, because Ian McDiarmid, this was his first time in Kansas City. And for those of you who do not know who Ian McDiarmid is, he's a very accomplished actor, but to Star Wars everywhere, he is Emperor Palpatine, the main bad guy behind so many of the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker saga, Clone Wars, and everything. And he has played that character off and on for 40 years. And to have him here was an incredible experience. I got my photo with him, I got an autograph with him, and I got a preferred seating at the panel. So I'll be posting that photo later on. But just to meet him and just tell him how much his Palpatine meant to my life and as someone that's plays pop culture, it was just meant a lot to me. Of course, I went to 2 panels that Friday. The 2 panels at the Grand Hall that played a big role was actually Boy Meets World's Ryder Strong, Danielle Fischel, Will Friedle, and moderator Mi Chen. By the way, Ming is a phenomenal moderator, and I really hope that Planet Productions is listening, because he needs to be brought back every single year. Now, one of the things I loved about this panel was the power of the fan questions, because the trio talked about the lessons that they learned from Mr. Feeney on camera and his actor, William Daniels, who was actually at Planet Comicon 2023, and I met him, and it was just amazing to see this legendary actor. They also talked about the hardest topics that they tackled on the show, and they also gave advice for people who want to start podcasts. Now, speaking of podcasts, I had the opportunity to ask a question, and this was so random, but Danielle Fischel remembered me and said, "You're Jacob, right?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she said, "You have a podcast, correct?" I'm like, "Yes." And she asked me to plug my podcast in front of the entire grand ballroom. I just was in shock, and I was so grateful, and I am so grateful to Danielle Fischel. So I just said, "Jake's Take with Jacob Elishar, JACOBELYACHAR." And I was so grateful for that. But I got to that question. My question was, how has the podcast strengthened your bond? And I was very satisfied with their responses. So I want to say thank you so much, Danielle. Thank you so much, Ryder. And thank you so much, Will, and also Ming, for your incredible remarks and for encouraging me to continue my podcasting journey. The final event of the evening was an evening with Ian McDiarmid. Now this panel was moderated by Kay Cadet. She did a wonderful job. And it actually opened with a battalion of Darth Vader and Imperial Royal Guards cosplayers, those whose outfits were absolutely amazing. And then Ian came out quoting the Emperor with a dreaded and bone-shaking "I'm still here" and a signature "Do it" line. Now, this panel was so amazing because you get to learn about. I love learning about his highlights, and also got to say this: his shaky. I loved how he compared the Emperor Palpatine to Iago and Richard III because Ian has that Royal Shakespeare Company background, and it's so amazing to hear that those legendary icons played a role in helping shape Star Wars' ultimate villain. And I loved hearing his stories about Revenge of the Sith, especially his duels with Samuel L. Jackson, and also that he had a chance to see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen film that epic duel on set. I would have loved to have seen that because both actors gave it their all. And also, he revealed that his favorite scene throughout the film was actually the tragedy of Doc Plagueis the Wise. It actually, I remember that scene very vividly, and I loved hearing how Ian was so ability to wrap people in and held Anakin in his hypnotic grasp once again, and like it was just amazing. I really love that scene. Now Saturday, I was the one of the very first people in the Fast Pass line, which has never happened in all my years attending Planet Comic Con. It's just amazing to be there and actually to interact with fans. And we were sharing stories and talking about our convention. So I got to give a shout out to Jameson, who was in that line with me, and also Mikey and Lacey, who are in the line with me on Friday. So I enjoyed our conversation. So shout out to them. Once again, I returned to Celebrity Row, and this time I met a true American icon. I'm talking about one of the greatest actors in film and in television, Mr. Henry Winkler. I was so in awe of him. His aura was so amazing, and I got a selfie with him, and I told him how much I love both his memoir and his time producing Hollywood Squares. That was a game show I loved, so we get to see him for like at least 5 minutes and tell him that meant the world to me. But he was not the only actor that I had the opportunity to meet that day. Corbin Bleu came in town. This was actually not only his Planet Comic Con debut, but his first actual Comic Con. So, Corbin, thank you so much for coming to Kansas City and making Planet Comic Con Kansas City your first choice to actually enter the world of comic book conventions. So, I thanked Corbin we also got a selfie, but I also wanted to make sure to tell him that he was a bright light to our generation, and that he participating in High School Musical encourage people especially particularly guys, that it's okay to act, sing, and dance. It was an incredible experience. I also got to talk about like I wish that he won Dancing with the Stars, and he gave me a tidbit that I'm talking about the Dancing with the Stars people made him out to be the Goliath to Riley's David. And we also got to talk about his time as at his little shop of horrors, because he's been playing Seymour. And I told him, like I told Andrew Keegan Bolger on our Halloween episode and Cameron Copperwaith on our Halloween episodes, that Audrey 2 scares the living bejesus out of me. And then he laughed, and it was really good to talk to him about his time there. And he said that he concurred that plan is terrifying. So I'm very excited to see what Corbin does next. And I want to say thank you so much for making that moment with him so special. The final actor that I met was Tara Strong. Now, Tara Strong has done so many roles, and she's played a huge role in my life when it comes to media consumption. So she has voiced Batgirl, and she's voiced took over the role of Harley Quinn from the lovely, incredible Arlene Sorkin in Batman Arkham games. And then not to mention, she plays Raven in both the Teen Titans original cartoon series and also the iconic Teen Titans Go cartoon series. And for the last 2 seasons, she played the incredible Miss Minutes on Loki. Now, for me, the odd photo I chose was actually the cover of Bruce Timm's Batgirl Adventures #1. So basically, it's the new Batman Adventures Batgirl, and with Harley and Ivy menacing in shadow silhouettes. It was amazing to meet her and tell her how much that she meant to me, and she is a true bright light in the entertainment industry. I also had the opportunity to meet one of my all-time favorite comic book writers, the incredible Mark Waid. Now, Mark has a huge bibliography that you can guys check up on Google. But however, the two books I brought with me for this convention was a trade paperback of two of my all-time favorite stories, JLA Tower of Babel and the Fantastic Four Unthinkable. Now, just to give you a quick story, and sorry for spoiler alerts, JLA Tower of Babel deals with when Ra's al Ghul steals Batman's safety guards just in case JLA went rogue. It's a very moving story. It's incredible storytelling, and you need to think what will read that. And also, if you're a huge Marvel fan and a huge fan of House Ideas, I highly recommend reading Fantastic Four Unthinkable because it showcases Marvel's first family take on the most terrifying form of Doctor Doom I have ever seen. And that storyline also contained Fantastic Four's 500th issue. So that both stories are absolutely amazing. After I met Mr. Waid, I continued on to the convention floor, and it's very packed. It was I never seen, in all my years covering Comicon and going to attending Planet Comicon events, I've never seen this Saturday so busy. It felt like it felt like there was a little claustrophobia in it, and mixed in with because we were very packed like sardines. But however, I did see so much incredible cosplay, and I gotta give a shout out to the Planet Comicon Kansas City attendees because you stole the show this year with your cosplay. So some of the things that I saw on the floor were the excellent Darth Maul, a Terra Medicine Kingpin. I loved seeing Lex Luthor in his power suit. That's just amazing. That was just amazing. And then I got to see a familiar cosplayer who dressed up as Nightcrawler. He's very spot on with the teeth, the contact lenses, and that tail. Oh my god. And also got to see someone perfection did Leonard Nimoy's version of Mr. Spock. It's just absolutely unreal. I'll be dropping the photos later on my Facebook and Instagram pages. But however, also look for the most crazy combination I've ever seen involving Pikachu and Deadpool. I called it Deadpool Pikachu, and it was so adorable, so cute. I had to show my folks. And even though my mom and dad love pop culture, not as much as I do, they thought it was adorable as well. Now, I did have the chance to go to two panels at the ballroom. So, one panel that I loved going to, and that actually surprised me how well it was Kevin Eastman's panel. Now, Kevin Eastman is one of the co-creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And this year, they're celebrating 40 years of that franchise. And once again, Ming Chen did a fabulous job moderating the panel. And like Ming's previous panels, like he did with Boy Meets World, is filled with audience QA that address things such as The Last Ronin. And actually, Kevin actually revealed the dream crossover he would like to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles do. And it was with Daredevil. So I gotta say, Marvel, IDW, get with the program. And I would love to see Daredevil and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fight the hand and the foot. And the biggest takeaway I learned from that panel was, I gotta say, I did not know that Jack Kirby, who's one of the kings of comic books, one of the most legendary creators in comic book history, inspired Kevin and his co-creator Peter Laird to create the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was just unbelievable. Speaking of big anniversaries, Happy Days celebrated their 50th anniversary at Planet Comicon. Joining Henry Winkler was his co-stars Anson Williams and Ron Most, who they were incredible. I love seeing that trio. And Kansas City radio personality Johnny Dare moderated the panel. And this is a fascinating fact that I know, that Henry Winkler has known Johnny Dare for a decade, which is amazing. Now, all three of them were spectacular storytellers, and if I can remember some of the best tales from that they told, was when the FBI met Henry Winkler in the 70s. And I also loved hearing about their friendship with the legendary Ron Howard, and like how he was a team player and how he was able to help them and how he was able to inspire them. And Henry said that Ron would have been there, but however, he's filming something in Australia. Which I'm like, Ron, you're missing out. I think the entire Kansas City would have welcomed you with open arms. So I hopefully one day that Mr. Howard be able to come to Kansas City and come to a Planet Comicon Kansas City in the future. Now, two other stories that got my attention were a full circle story that involved John and Julian Lennon. That's right, Beatles fame John Lennon, not legend, Lennon, and the Happy Days trio that started up in the 70s but evolved into something more with Julian in the 80s and with Anson Williams when he visited Sirius XM in the later decades. And I also loved learning about that Anson Williams was actually a speaker at a all student council president summit at a Shawnee Mission High School back in the 80s, and that he encountered none other than President Ronald Reagan. I found extremely fascinating, and I thought that was one of my favorite panels of the bunch. Now I want to give you guys my final take about Planet Comicon Kansas City 2024. Once again, I got to give a big shout out to Chris Jackson, William Binderup, and the entire Planet Productions team for delivering an epic 25th anniversary event. But more importantly, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the credible volunteers and staff members who made Planet Comicon Kansas City 2024 the most memorable experience to date. And I also am so excited that Planet Comicon 2025, which was announced in the program's panel, is coming back to Kansas City from March 21st and to March 2025 as of this recording. So, guys, if you miss an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elliott podcast, visit us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, and Spreaker. Once again, it's Jake's Take with Jacob Elliott, JACOBELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. They're all Jacob Elliott, JACOBELYACHAR. And guys, want to know what's going on with Masked Singer, Who Won America's Got Talent Fantasy League, and catch up on some of my new music reviews and other Planet Comicon coverage? Visit the blog that started it all, jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Good!